What's going on, everybody? It's nice to see you all again. And yes, it is time yet again for those juicy reviews on Amazon Prime. The reviews that will describe to us exactly what people who have paid for this service, look right here, to calculate the overall star rating and percentage breakdown by star. We don't use a simple average. Instead, our system considers things like how recent a review is and if the reviewer bought the item on Amazon. It also analyzes reviews to verify trustworthiness. Okay, so let's read the top reviews from the United States. And the first one is a real doozy. This is by someone, literally. Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. And this came out on the 14th. Okay, this came out right before the finale. So the entire season was well crafted up until the very end. Certain things were minor nuances with regards to the lore, but you could tell that there was a large amount of care for Tolkien's work and the spirit within it. This show was mainly a love letter to the Silmarillion. Episode 8 spoilers ahead. So oh my goodness, he's got a lot of thoughts here. So I think this was updated, even though it came out on the 4th. No, it did come out just a few days ago. I think it's just so much time has passed now because the world suddenly is not moving so slowly now that I'm not watching The Rings of Power anymore. Because when I was watching The Rings of Power, time would jump too much and it would take too long to get through an episode. So yeah, I was pretty disappointed. Let's read, of course. Let's just get back to what this guy thinks of episode 8. The critics of this show had been crying wolf about bad writing and other goalpost shifting stuff, conveniently forgetting that this is the closest adaptation to the books we've ever had. Now with the final episode of the season, bad writing complaints can finally have merit. What do you mean? Like, what were the previous episodes? Was that good writing? It's just, what? Okay. What a ham-fisted attempt to wrap up a season that still has 4 more seasons left. Hopefully not. God forbid. We have no shortage of time. I was willing to overlook the speed of the elves building a forge for TV adaptation and timeline purposes, but I will not overlook Sauron helping to make the rings as a human, let alone as Halbrand. It would have been so much better to have somebody be in the background the whole time, every meeting of screen or off screen, I think he meant to say, whispering in the king's ear. Halbrand could have been a great Nazgul or be the king of the dead. Besides, Sauron is well beyond redemption at this point, and what the heck is he doing talking about taking a leisure cruise on a boat? I understand some things need to be done for the plot to fit TV viewership, but I can clearly understand why the embedded Tolkien scholar left after this. This is just too much divergence. He had been building up his status as a smith in an elven colony for 500 years to get pulled in and have his long-term plan enacted. Halbrand is not a character with long-term plans. He wants to stay in Numenor and be a simple smith. It's true. It's true. They do that to Sauron. He doesn't even want to leave Numenor. He's just like, hey, can I make swords? And they're like, no. And he like beats him up because he tried to steal a badge. He did not make a retirement plan for himself, controlling the world with order as opposed to Morgoth's chaos. He just wanted to be on a boat. The whole boat thing could have been ignored if he was anyone other than Sauron. He's supposed to be captured, gain allies, and then make the rings. The elves were supposed to not trust him, but not see him as Sauron until he put on the ring. Super frustrating to watch, and my partner, who is a casual fan of the series, couldn't help but to voice similar frustrations to me, to the point where she's making her own review. Wow! And that's really what's happened to me. I'm not looking forward to the next season. I'd rather they retcon all of this and call it a dream sequence. Me too, honestly. I was willing to give them a chance on this. I'd rather not anymore, but he still gave the season finale 6 out of 10, okay? So that's just one review, and we're only going to read that top review. But look, again, the rating for this show has been 3.3 out of 5 stars for weeks now. I mean, even when they first started releasing the reviews for the show, it was sitting at like a 3.2, and it just went up like a 0.1 like this whole time. I mean, these reviews are coming in like crazy. Let me show you what I mean. Most recent reviews. Okay, this came out today, and there were a bunch that came out yesterday too. I was going to do a video on this yesterday because all of the reviews dropped on the 18th, but a bunch of them did. But we're going to read these instead. So this is by Heyo. Could have made this one episode or a movie. Way too much filler and not enough story. Hope season 2 they get to the point. Directing is beyond bad. Still gave it 3 stars. And just keep in mind that they start at 1 star. So you cannot give the show 0 stars. So technically it's a 2 out of 4 stars, which makes even less sense to me. But hey, this is Amazon and they have a really bad history of not making sense. So It's a Mess by Caleb E. Attempting to leave another review, apparently actually reviewing the product that Amazon has created, will result in your review not being published. Sadly, I physically watched the show and came to these conclusions on my own, so I am going to keep it brief. The writing is bad. It makes it very hard to follow what is happening on screen. Characters will teleport from place to place. 2 episodes have the same events basically occur and they end in the exact same point. So basically, you can entirely skip an episode and you will not have missed anything. That is important to know. You can watch the recaps of this show. Okay, this is me talking, not this guy. But you can watch the recaps of this show and be completely caught up, and you will not have missed anything important. I'm serious. I am serious. The dialogue is very bad and honestly feels forced. One of the main characters is unlikable, always gets their way, is always correct, and never experiences any problems. Gee, I wonder if he means galadriel. There is no tension of any kind ever because the characters that are used can be seen at later dates in other media that involves Middle-earth. So basically Isildur, him like taking a giant fiery log to the face and just disappearing for 2 straight episodes. Okay, that's not thrilling. It's not exciting or a mystery. We all know Isildur survives to cut off Sauron's finger. So yeah, of course. And so they put him in these risky situations that basically do nothing for the audience watching them. And no one really believes that he's dead. And of course he's not dead, because if he is dead, and that means they have to make Isildur's sister in charge. And although some of my viewers probably wouldn't mind, I mind because I love Isildur. I know you guys love Isildur too, but come on. Let's read on. In conclusion, I think a second grader can write a more coherent show due to them understanding basic plot devices, which I do not believe this show displays at all. And that goes straight to JD Payne and Patrick McKay on that one, okay? 3rd time they have deleted my review. This is 1 star. I watched this show. I hated it. I wrote all the reasons why before, and I can't be bothered to do it a 3rd time after they delete my reviews. If you see this, know that there should be an average of 2 stars on the show if Amazon wasn't fudging the numbers to try to claw back some of their wasted $1 billion. It's frustrating just to read that. Okay, 4 people found that helpful. I mean, look at all the people who find this helpful. Before we continue, let's go over to the top reviews because I want to show you guys something. This is apparently a show that garners millions and millions of people watching it. This is their website. This is their review page. But you only have like 26 people finding this helpful, 7, 12. What is with these small numbers? Where are all the people that apparently love this show so much? Where are they? My goodness. Yeah, so let's go to the next one. Robert Morgan totally missed the mark. This series is awful to anyone who is a fan of Tolkien's work. The writing is bad, and that leaves very little wiggle room for effects and acting to attempt to make it better. Not that there were any outstanding effects, and some of them were quite bad. The giant Chihuahua war, yeah, that was probably the worst thing there. But, I mean, they did have some cool CGI shots, like, you know, of the tree and then like a couple of the cities, but after a while it really got old because you knew what to expect after you saw it. They didn't really incorporate the CGI into the scenes in a natural way. They just showed you big CGI shots of cities and then they're just like in this small corridor that looks all danky and non-creative. And it's really lame, guys. It really was. It was just so lame. The directions they took with the characters, especially Galadriel, were horribly off the mark. Do yourself a favor and read/reread the books and you will be better served. And I do agree. That's why I'm reading the books again, because I need to feel better. Because wow, what a travesty. Okay. Worth watching, some key issues, but it's worth watching. Gives it 3 stars, which is technically 2 out of 4 stars. While some of the episodes spend too much time on backstory that we really don't need to know, or that seem to be wasting time to fill the hour, overall, it's a great series. Well, what's great about it if most of it's filler? The one thing that annoyed me the most is the divergence from Tolkien, where the female dwarf doesn't have a beard, unheard of in Tolkien's world and notes. I mean, technically, she does have a little bit of fuzz on the sides of her cheeks, but overall, I think they were trying to make it clear that she was not to have a beard, the wife of Prince Durin. I think her name is Disa. Her name is Disa. It is what it is. This is not Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. This is by Jay McLeod from Ohio. Give the story a chance to develop. Okay, this is not Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, which was a masterpiece film adaptation of the literary trilogy, so I was hesitant to watch Rings of Power, given the reviews of it beforehand. Honestly, the first 2 episodes didn't draw me into the story, and it was difficult to adjust to the casting choices from the characters we all love from the previous films. However, as I progressed on to the 3rd episode through the last of this season, I found the story drew me in, took me on some surprising turns, and gave me an affinity for the characters who developed to become more believable. Plot twist, he liked it! Oh my goodness. But there are touchstones in various scenes I easily identified as paralleling some beloved Jackson trilogy scenes, but who can fault borrowing from the authenticity he created to attain a connection for the audience to what we know and love? So he's like, Well, I think it's completely okay that they borrowed, stuff from the Jackson movies because they have to get people interested, right? Well, hey, they said themselves they wanted to stand apart. They said themselves they wanted it to be its own thing. But of course, they did contradict themselves when they were putting copy-paste scenes straight from the Fellowship of the Ring and onward. I've already mentioned it. But some people are trying to rationalize that decision. I disagree, but if that's how they see it, I suppose that's up to them. By the end of that final episode, I became a thorough fan of the series, despite my original reservations for the quality of the story that had developed. Well, I don't know what kind of story he's expecting by going back and reading the books or watching the Jackson films again. I mean, how does that get you interested in the Lord of the Rings series, which is a completely different series than the Rings of Power, tonally, and quality-wise, and in terms of writing, dialogue, everything, story, accuracy to the books. I mean, when you read the Lord of the Rings after you watch Rings of Power, if you've never read the books beforehand, you're going to be in for a rude awakening because it's going to turn out to be the complete opposite of the woke trash that you thought was a good show. So I disagree. Did it have issues? Certainly. Were they damaging to the viewing experience? Not at all. Yeah, I mean, it burned my eyes almost straight out of their sockets, okay? Mostly because of Galadriel. I'm serious. As a longtime Tolkien fan, I still loved this adaptation. I'm not sure why. Decisions made to make this digestible on TV and with not much source material, they did a remarkable job. Like, in regards to what, though? I really am genuinely curious what people thought was so great about that show. What's the one thing in that show that was just so amazing that it just makes all of the other nonsense in it worthwhile? That's what I want to know. There was this one person who was like, I totally disagree with your assessment. And that was it. I didn't get a reason why. But I'm seeing all of these Lord of the Rings and Tolkien fans that hated the show along with me, giving me huge paragraphs and all of these, like, basically mini novels, novellas, just their opinions and their thoughts and their passions about what makes them so frustrated. And then I get comments from people who are just like, well, I totally disagree with you. I don't think that you're right. I mean, you're just hating on it. But people aren't really giving me a good reason why they think that the finale was amazing or that the show as a whole was amazing. Last review by Jack, a sloppy fanfic masquerading as a bastardization of Tolkien's legacy. Wow. But he's right. I've written a lengthy review previously, but naturally Amazon did not want to post a critical review of Amazon's TV series. I will keep it nice and short instead. The series stays unfaithful to the source material it pretends to portray. It makes a mockery of Tolkien's work. Now, say you're not a fan or even great appreciator, or even, I don't even know why I said great, appreciator of Tolkien's works. It's still a very poorly written show with the characters who have weak motivations, do not experience any character growth, often behave like very bad people. The show does not shy from contradicting itself, warping time and space, literally. There are moments in this show where so much time passes for one set of characters, and then the other set of characters are still doing the things they were doing 5 minutes prior. So you're not even sure, like, how time and space works here. But it doesn't work in the way that time and space works in the real world. That's for certain. Okay. And missing few good opportunities it creates for itself. It tries to capture an immense span of time in just one season. As a result, it is wide as the ocean, but shallow as a puddle. And as you know, the sea is always right? I don't know. In last episode, they basically had to wrap up so many plot threads that none of them get nearly the time they deserved. I don't think they got any time that they deserved. And I had made mention of this prior. It's like they packed everything into the final episode and just kind of went with it and said, okay, well, this is out of the way. Now that this crappy part of the Tolkien history is done with, now we can focus on the more canon-like stuff. It's just ridiculous. So this is what people on the actual Amazon page think. And this has been going on for weeks now. I've been doing this like every week. I think this is my third one. I don't know if I'm going to do another one. I'm not sure. I might. I just want to see what people think about this because I'm getting some opinions where people are just like, you don't know what you're talking about. But here it is right there, smack dab on their website. I mean, look at the top reviews. And look how the meter hasn't changed at all. It's all the same percentages. And the top review isn't even like a glowing review of the show. None of these are 5-star reviews, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars. I mean, what else needs to be said at this point? But it is what it is, once again. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like and share this video, subscribe, click that notification bell, and I hope to see you guys again next time.